I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. To begin, this is the VillageMade podcast. The saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. And the intent of this podcast is to highlight and give voice to our guests who share their stories. They are the products of the village that raised them. There's no better way to start this VillageMade podcast than to have my first guest be someone I've known his whole life. And I call my brother, Sifa Heimuli. And the man behind C4 Designs.
Yay.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. I know you're a busy guy, a busy man. So let's get right into it. For those who don't know, what ethnicity are you and where were you born and raised?
I am Tongan, and I was born and raised in Kahuku, Hawaii.
Okay. So who originally migrated to Hawaii? He's saying you're Tongan.
Yep.
So who originally migrated to Hawaii from Tonga? And do you know why they chose Hawaii?
It was it was my grandpa on my dad's side. Benny Heimuli, he moved to Hawaii. I think the reason why all Tongans moved to America for better education, better opportunities. It was back in the 70s, late 70s. That's when he actually brought the family over, but he was just in California, in Hawaii, hustling to raise money to bring his family from Tonga. So, to answer the question.
So where in Tonga is your family from? And
Okay.
do you know the story behind the name?
Yep.
Or your last name?
So, Heimuli, mom's side is from Folaha and from Ewa, and dad's side is from Ha'apai. Grandma's from Ha'apai, and Grandpa Penny Heimuli is from Mataika. And our last name comes from what I understand, it comes from 5 generations back, something like that. A guy named Akuila from Fiji. He found his way over to Tonga, and as a joke or as a nickname, Tongans called him Heimuli. He Imuri. He meaning lost, in, and Muli, foreign land. So they were calling this Fijian, this foreigner, nicknaming him Heimuli. And in Tonga, when we visited, there are people named Heimuli. Like, that's people's first names. So it might have been a joke. It might have been this or that. But anyways, from him, a couple generations later, so our great-grandpa, they named him, his name was Sifa Heimuli, and they just called him Heimuli. So our branch, at least, that's our story. Our story is came from somewhere else, lost in a foreign land, and the nickname just stuck, and so that's our last name, and that's what we trace, at least. So
by chance, do you know the last name used before Heimuli?
I don't, and it's possible that at the time there weren't last names. At the time in society, they weren't calling people by first and last. I think it was just one name that they were calling people. And so I don't know if we had anything else before that. Akuila is all we know. And that's as far as we know. And then slowly we just started transferring into calling our first name or last name.
So you said your grandpa moved from Tonga to Hawaii. And when he got to Hawaii, do you know the reason he chose Kahuku or that side of the island instead of others?
Yep. He had a brother who was in Kailua, I believe, or in town. I'm sure it was Kailua, his brother Tonga. He went to work with his brother Tonga in doing yate construction. And he got into it with his brother. They're all stubborn. He got into it with his brother, whether he was not being paid. I don't know. I don't know the story. But he got into it with his brother, and he had enough. So he got into he went to the store down the street. He went to the store down the street, and he said, the first person that walks in that speaks Tongan, I'm going to ask him for a ride, and I'm going to go with him. And the first person that walked in, his name is Pahulu Kawaka. That's his name, right? Pahulu. Yep. So Pahulu Kawaka came in, and it happens that Grandpa's related to him. And I don't know exactly, but I think the Kawakas are from Feletoa, just right next to Mataika. And so Grandpa ran into Pahulu, and Pahulu lived in Laia at the time. And so Grandpa got into the truck or whatever they had, got in, and went to the North Shore. And that's kind of where we grew up. That's where he brought his family. He brought his family to Laia, Moana Street. And then as soon as Kahuku opened up, since it was a new development, I don't know when, in the 80s, 85, whatever, they moved over to Kahuku, and that's where we were born and raised, in that house that Grandpa bought and built up. So, yeah.
So being born and raised in Kahuku, what was it like for you growing up in Kahuku?
We didn't have a lot. In standards of everything, we weren't the poorest there, but we definitely weren't the richest there either. But I think everyone was in the same situation. We were all just make it. And so growing up there, carefree Saturdays, kind of just check out of the house, go play until the sun goes down, just make sure you're back home at a good time before there's no light outside. Playing football with no slippers on the street, and the street is asphalt, and it's bumpy. Like, you just get really, really hard feet. Going to the park, playing there all the time. All the little developments they first put in a playground, went to that a lot. Then they put in a basketball court, went there a lot. It was a fun time where I can't speak for our parents, but I think that they didn't really worry about us. We just had to tell them where we were going, and then we kind of just left. We kind of just went, and it was on our honor to be there and stay there, kind of thing. So I think it was a good time. A lot of outside, a lot of catching chickens, fighting chickens, stealing chickens. Borrowing chickens.
Guava Land, Cross Hill.
Guava, yeah, exactly. Like all outdoor stuff. Cross Hill.
Blue Balls Falls.
Yeah, Blue Balls Falls in Kahuku Falls. Yeah. Trying to go back there, asking directions. How do you get there? Oh, you just go and there's a rock, and as soon as you see the rock, you go left, and just all of these little things. K-Hill, yep, K-Hill's right there. Running into people's weed stashes up by Cross Hill, or back there by the farmlands. Just all of it. Going to Kahuku Falls, right? I remember packing. The only thing I packed was water, Simon, and a can of Spam. So what else is there to say? I love what happened, and I'm sure every kid loves how they grew up. But for me personally, there was a lot of outdoorsy stuff, a lot of camping, and we call it camping, but Utah camping or mainland camping and Hawaii camping, kind of two different things. Right. You kind of don't take anything camping in Hawaii, and then here you have to prepare for everything. So yeah, beach. We went to the beach a lot. I remember swimming, just going all day and just being in the water the whole day, and not caring, just knowing that you could be there and do anything you wanted while we were there. So yeah, good times, good, legit, like village raised. You see an auntie down the road, and auntie caught you doing something bad or doing not, listening, and before you got home, your mom already knew, Right. And so just the whole Coconut Wireless was alive and well there. Just the whole community thing, walking down the street, knowing your neighbors, saying hi to auntie, the Filipino auntie, sweeping the leaves with her coconut broomstick, and smelling weed in the morning. I never knew what that was, but auntie was smoking it, like all the way off the topic. But that's where we grew up. That's how we were raised. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just going off of what you're saying too, those Filipinos, our neighbors, always inviting us over or just giving us food.
Yeah,
so we understood
their
food.
New Year's parties. Those were legit. Their karaoke sessions, those were legit too. Like, you just hear them pounding just drinking all night, being merry, and just singing their lungs out. Singing their hearts out, and so all of that on our way to someone else's house up the street, 5 houses up or 5 houses down. Like, we just had friends everywhere. So, yeah.
Hey, that's cool. That sounded like childhood. Growing up in Coco and at that time was amazing.
Yep.
Um, so growing up, what were some of the Tongan traditions, etiquettes, customs that you were raised with in the home? For example, like maybe the punishment aspect, or getting hit, or
Yep.
maybe respect, or language, or
Uh, but asking mom and dad now about why they did certain things, because so growing to answer your question, growing up, things that I remember, we could never go into the girls' room. The girls' room was off limits. Both of the girls' rooms and their bathroom, like we could never go in there. You don't lay down on the couch, ever. But if anyone else is there, you don't put your feet up. You don't. When we eat until we're done. You don't get up, eat. You don't move around. Like you sit down and you eat. And then when you're done, you just ask to be excused, finish everything on your plate. As far as punishment went, it was whatever they could, whatever was in arm's reach or whatever they asked for, I remember going and getting sticks and going and getting the crutches, like going and getting extension cords, and we're probably telling on our parents right now, but we're too old for them to get put in jail right now. But just anything as far as punishment went, it was kind of everything and anything went, I getting thrown to the wall a couple of times, like that just was it, that's as far as punishment went. Growing up in a Tongan church, in a Tongan ward, hymns in Tongan, everything in Tongan pretty much. And having said that, growing up and as I learned more about our culture, Tongan culture, this and that, like I learned about eating etiquette, like where the youngest serves the oldest, and then the dad eats first and nobody can eat from your dad's plate, like stuff that we didn't grow up with. But once I learned it, I asked dad and mom, like, why didn't they do this, or why didn't they do that, or just the little things that other Tongans were doing. And they just said, for them at least, it wasn't important. Like these things weren't important, but they were teaching us what they thought was important. So as gatekeepers, they felt that the things that they chose to enforce were the things that were important to them. So as far as Tongan culture, yeah, that's what I remember growing up.
Cool. That actually leads directly into my next question, which is for you, with the understanding that our family moved, or our grandpa moved to America, for a better life. Do you agree that it's okay to lose our culture to take on the American culture? Or isn't that why, they came here to begin with? Or is it important to hold on to culture? Or what are your thoughts on that line, that fine line, just basically based off of what you said, our gatekeepers or our parents kind of figured, what's best for us. And so for you now,
what are my thoughts on
is
that?
there a line, or do you keep your culture, or do you?
I'm learning and growing, and my opinion yesterday is different from my opinion today because of things that I've experienced, things that I run into and learn and stuff. And so I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. A year ago, yesterday, a week ago, like it could have been yes, like them moving and sacrificing, and then us losing our culture or learning a different culture or being raised in a different type of culture. Is it worth it? I guess it comes down to what do you want, really, right? And I think that's an individual thing. Grandpa wanted education for us. He wanted university, and he wanted college. He wanted degrees. He wanted doctors, and here we are. Nobody's a doctor, nobody's this and nobody's that, but that's what he wanted, right? I think it's that question, it's an individual based question. I think it comes down to what do you want in life, what makes you happy, kind of thing. Because so in American culture, we are taught to work until a certain age, right? And then we're taught to sacrifice, save, do all of these things for what? For a bigger goal, to retire. And then when we retire, what happens? Then we go and relax, right? We go Eva, we go retire. Retirement is where we live our life, right? And I think that we could have done that in Tonga. Like, we could have been retired in Tonga as far as like relaxing and living a good life. And so I don't know. I don't know where the line is. I thought I knew a year ago, and now I don't know. Like I'm always learning and I'm always growing. And as far as giving up culture and doing different things, it's all different. Like Tongan culture, even if you go back 50 years, it's different from Tongan culture today in Tonga. Like you take these Tongans, they're different from 50 years ago, which they're different from 100 years ago. So we're always evolving, we're always growing. As a people, we're always learning and adapting, and that's the name of the game, I think, is to adapt to your situation and try to make that situation the best situation that you can. And so I think Grandpa, when he came over, his ideas were to give us a better opportunity. And do we have a better opportunity? I think so, right? We have health system, jobs that are available, just everything, the blessings that come with America. But at the same time, in the American or in the westernized version of life, you work, you retire, then you have fun. So I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know. I'm learning, growing. Every day is a different thing. The more I learn, the less I know, kind of thing. So I don't know if it was worth it. I'm happy that we're here. I am happy that we're here because of everything that my kids get to experience. But then the things that we lose because we're here versus there, I don't know. I don't know if that answered anything, but that's my take on all of it.
So you mentioned our parents being the gatekeepers and them passing on to us what they thought was relevant in the culture and, from both cultures. Now you as a parent, what are some things that, as the gatekeeper for your kids, what are some things that, you take from both cultures, Tongan and the American culture, that you would like to pass on, or that you are passing on to them?
What I would like to pass on, because what I would like to pass on, what I'm actually passing on, because it comes through actions, right? And the little everyday things that you do to help steer them in the right direction. What I would like to pass on, hard work, humility, being able to learn from anything and anyone at all times, really. What I'm actually passing on, I would like to pass on the language as well. But how's that going, So I don't know how it happens. There's a huge filter. There's this, like, you think of filtering a mesh or whatever. Our parents know, strainer, yes, a strainer. Our parents they know they speak Tongan 100%, right? They speak it, that's them. What happened to us? If they speak 100% Tongan, why are we at 40%, 30%, when they have every ability to pass it out? And I don't know how and why, but the same thing's happening. Like, I'm comfortable in Tongan. I can speak enough to find food, in Tonga. Like, if we had to go there right now, comfortable, but what do my kids know? Like, somehow it's being strained out, and I don't know why, but it might be because what's important to me is being a good person, being happy, like these other things that I think are important. Instead of, I'm not saying language is not important. That's something that I would really like to get in touch with, is just relearning the language. But as far as putting time and everything into it, some things are more important than others, like surviving, like trying to put food on the table. So what I would like to pass on and what's actually being passed on are two different things right now, and I hope to bridge the gap between the two. But for now, it's kind of what I would like to pass on is one thing, and then what I'm actually passing on, I hope they can see from what I'm doing, I guess, the actions versus the actual what I'm trying to teach.
All right. So just going back a little, back into high school.
Uh-huh.
I know growing up and going through high school, it's hard to navigate the issue of identity.
Yeah.
Because we all want to fit in, and we know how hard it is to find your identity. Do you feel you found your identity? And is it still an ongoing process, or, how hard was it for you finding your identity in high school or coming up?
Sure.
Trying to find yourself and figure out who you are.
I think it's still an ongoing process. I think I'm still trying to figure out who I am. Every day I think we learn and we grow, and who we were yesterday is not who we are today, and what we wanted and what we're actually doing, two different things. So I think growing up, as far as the identity, that I was comfortable. I thought I had something, right? Like I thought I knew who I was. And at the time I did. I was Tongan. I was playing sports, and that's just what we did, right? And that's just who I associated myself with, and that's who I chose to spend my time with, was this group of people doing these things. And as I learn and grow, and everybody, we all separate and we all do our own thing. I think we just try to make the best of our situations and try to be the best person we can today. So I'm still trying to figure out who I am, being comfortable in my own skin kind of thing. For example, growing up in high school, I thought this is something that I just learned about myself. I felt like I was confident. I felt like I knew who I was. I felt like my image of myself, I felt confident about who I was as a person. Decently popular, like had friends, right? Like just the things that makes someone feel confident. And I thought that in being confident and in being these things, I thought that how I reacted to certain situations. So humility for me it used to be hide, like don't go in front of people, like just always hide. I don't know. My dad, mom, and our parents, they're not the type of people to stand up in front of people and give lectures or give talks. They are very shy. And
it was never to draw attention to yourself.
Yes, exactly. And so an example is going to a basketball game at Kahuku, right? Like we go to support. Instead of walking in front of everyone, in front of the bleachers, I would go underneath the bleachers and pop out on the other end. Like I don't know. I don't know why and what, but it was always hiding. Anyways, my thoughts on being humble back then, I thought that I was being humble because I was hiding, I was doing these things. But as I'm learning and growing, I think I was just insecure. Like, I think that's what I've learned recently is you think that you're confident and you think that you're this and that, but if you really look at yourself, I don't know, I must have been insecure with this and that. Like that, it goes to social media with C4 Designs. Like it goes to that. Like I'm confident, but I'm too insecure to post anything because I'm scared about what can come, what people might say, or what other people think. If I was confident, I wouldn't care about what people think. Confident people don't care. Because they know who they are, right? They know that nothing anyone else can tell you is going to affect who you are and how you feel about yourself. My new definition of confidence and humility even is that you know who you are. You're humble enough to know your strengths and know your weaknesses and play on those things. So what I thought once upon a time is changing to now. So it kind of, all of it is self-awareness, just trying to figure out who you are, what makes you happy, that thing. So whatever the question was in the beginning of this little rant, that's the answer to it.
So did you ever have identity issues growing up? Like not feeling too Tongan or not feeling Tongan enough? Did you ever have any of those feelings or thoughts?
Yes. Growing up, as far as yesterday till when I was born, yeah. There's times where I'm not Tongan enough, and there's times where I'm not English, Palangi enough, I'm not American enough. in different crowds, and that is an issue. Almost, it's an issue because if you don't if you're not comfortable with where you're at, then you're trying to be something else that you're not. But I am English, I mean, I am American and I am Tongan, and so I am what I am. I can't help you because you don't think I'm Tongan. I can't help you because you don't think I'm American enough. This is who I am in everything. So because I'm American, I can do this, this, and this. And because I'm Tongan, I can do this, this, and that. And so I did have identity issues, but it comes down to this is me. This is my package. This is what happens. This is how I come across. Do I know some things about being Tongan? Yeah, I know some things about being Tongan. Do I know some things about living in America? Yeah, I know that too, and throw Hawaiian in there. I'm Hawaiian, to some respects, and because of the community we grew up in, I'm Samoan too, and call me Fijian, because of all of these little things that shaped us, because of all the influences that we had. And so I am Tongan, but at the same time, I'm everything else because of how everything else affected how I was raised, I guess. So.
And that goes back to the, the name of the podcast,
Yep,
VillageMade.
VillageMade.
It just goes back to, the village that raised you.
Yep.
So do you think Grandpa would be proud of the sacrifice he made? The way that you're living your life, or the way who you are? Do you think he would be proud of the sacrifice he made to move his family over to America?
I don't know if he's proud. They're all stubborn back, that generation, right. They have their own thoughts and processes. So do I think he'll be proud as far as a definition? No, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not everything that he wanted to look. Did I go to school? A little bit. I went to school for 2.5 years. I went to college for 2.5 years, and then I stopped. Has he ever said he's proud of me? I haven't asked. I don't really care about how he feels about me. I just respect him for what he did to get us here and put us into the position that we're in now, to give us a fighting chance to do what we're doing now. And so I don't think he'd be proud. But then again, time and age, where we're at, this is the new doctor, I don't know. We're talking about positions and titles and stuff, but at the end of the day, what is it? What we're trying to get? Money. And what does money do? Freedom, right? So we're trying to get freedom, and it's there's a lot of things you can do as far as freedom goes as an entrepreneur, but at the same time, you're still locked up in a bunch of different ways. So do I think he'd be happy? I don't know. Am I proud of myself? I am, because of where I was to where I am today. So yeah.
I guess just excuse me, just going off of what you were talking about with being an entrepreneur and the financial freedom that it gives you, we'll turn now and kind of go into C4 Designs. Can you tell us how and when you started C4 Designs?
Oh, yes. So C4 Designs officially started in 2012. That's when I was going to Weber State at the time. That's when 2012, the summer of 2012, is when I actually walked into my coach's office and dropped my scholarship. I just told them, thank you.
So before that, go back into Weber State. So you played football in high school, and then you got...
Football in high school, got a scholarship to Weber State, went on a 2-year mission, LDS mission, to the Marshall Islands. Loved it, loved every minute of it. Just talk about, real humility there, as far as circumstances go. So spent time there, loved it, learned a lot about myself and about the type of people that we are as Oceanic, as people from Oceania. Learned a bunch there. Got home in 2010, started at Weber State, started going to Weber State and playing football there in 2010. 2.5 years in, so 2012, summer of 2012. So went through spring ball, finished that semester, went home for your wedding, May 19th, whatever. Went home for that, and before all of this, I guess through all of this, I always had I liked doodling, but more than that, I liked learning about Polynesian history. That's what got me, is just learning about Polynesian history. And so as I was learning more and drawing, sketching, I would Sharpie on shirts, everything. Like, we didn't have money for new shoes, so I would legit take old shoes. In high school, I would take old shoes and just spray paint them, like just do different weird things, like spray paint it black and then put blue drips on it. It was my way of being different, being I don't know what the word is, but it was my way of showing out, because it was like these custom little things. And so that kind of through time, I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And so 2012, go home for your wedding. While I was there, just all the culture that was involved, Matt the Ngatu coming out and just them touching it up, just all of that. It kind of ignited, it just kind of reaffirmed to me my love for culture. So I get back to Utah, go up to Weber State. It was probably May 19th. I think I left a couple days after your wedding. I just straight left, asked mom to buy me a ticket, and she did. Came back here and decided I'm done playing football. I wanted to pursue culture is what I wanted to pursue, but culture through garments, through shirts, through whatever else I could get my hands on. And so dropped my scholarship, and then I just went and worked at a screen printing place. I called the place up, and they didn't actually let me on the phone. They said, no, we don't have any jobs. So a couple weeks later, I just go in and say, I'm coming back tomorrow. Like, I don't care what you say. This is what I want to do. So I'll come back tomorrow and I'll do everything. Like, I don't care. You don't even need to pay me. I just want to learn. And so he said, just come back. My boss at the time said, come back. So I spent 2012 to just last year working at that job as a screen printer. But yeah, C4 Designs officially started in 2012 to now.
So you mentioned that you went back and you just told him that you're going to keep coming back.
Yep.
So did he give you the opportunity, or with that opportunity, when did he start paying you, or how long was that period where you were working for free?
So I told him I would work for free, and I was dead serious, because I had a job at Sears. Did it suck? Yeah, it sucked. It wasn't amazing, but I didn't care. Like, I legit didn't care. I put myself, with me telling my coaches that I was dropping out, and then calling mom and dad and hearing whatever it was in their voice of, as long as you keep going to school, that's fine. That's what they said. As long as you keep going to school, that's fine. And my intention was to finish out school, but when you have to pay for your own school, that turns into a nightmare, So, yeah, I was willing to go, but he just said, come back in 2 weeks and I'll give you a job. You don't have to do that. So I didn't work for free, but he was paying me, but I wasn't taking money from him. I asked him, because of everything that I wanted to do. I told him right from the start. I said, I want to do printing. I want to do fashion, like all of this stuff, all of the things I wanted to do. I told him. And so when my first paycheck came, I didn't cash it out. I didn't take money. I just told him, can I put it in an account with you? Can I order shirts? Can I order blank shirts? And use that to start my thing. So I didn't get paid from it. I think in the 6-7 years that I worked there, 7 years that I worked there, I think I took 10, 15 paychecks ever, like legit taking it from him and cashing it out for money. I think I only took 10, 15 paychecks. Everything else went right back in. And so I took my first $200 check, right? Or my $200 check. And I bought shirts with it. I remember putting in that first order of $200 for blank shirts. And I remember that being the craziest thing I had ever done. Because why? Because my bank account was at damn near zero. Like it was there. But because I had made because I drew the line, I kind of pushed myself into a corner to where I didn't care about what came next. Like I knew it was going to be uncomfortable. I knew that everything after that wouldn't be ideal, and so I was crashing on a friend's couch. We were teammates, and I was just crashing on his couch, and I didn't have money to eat really. And was I gonna die? No, like I wasn't gonna die because aunties and uncles here, like grandpa just lives in Provo. I was like I wasn't gonna die, but I made myself feel like I was gonna die. Like I drew that line and made myself. I put myself into that corner so that I could eat. Shit. I could just feel like all the pain, kind of go through it. And so at that time I did go through it, and I was going through it, and nobody knew. That's the thing. I didn't tell anybody until after. I didn't tell anybody until I was kind of out of it, like past that immediate struggle time. I remember looking at bank account and it says 70, which is it $7? No. Is it zero? Is it negative? No. So like I said, but it was my struggle, and it was something that I felt like I had to go through in order to put me to where I wanted to be. So anyways, yeah, I didn't get paid for probably the first year. I didn't get paid. I didn't take any money out from my boss. I just kept saying, put it into my account, and I just kept ordering more shirts and printing and trying to sell the stuff that I printed. And so I was living off of the second time I got money. Not the first time from a paycheck, but after I rinsed, recycled, and sold the shirts. And then, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't get paid.
Well, I guess that leads straight into the question: was there ever a time that you were close to giving up? You're talking about some of the struggles of the things you had to go through earlier in the study of the business, but did there ever come a time that you were close to giving up?
No, only because like I made it so that there was no other way. I think about it now, and if I had some of these guys have amazing jobs, like doing construction, even like some of these guys getting paid a lot doing construction. If I did that first and then try to hustle shirts, I don't think I would have left my money there. Right. I wouldn't have left the job to come and do this. I kind of just gave myself no other option, and I kind of just went to this thing that made no money for me and did nothing for me, and I kind of just declared that that's what I was gonna do. So did I ever think I was gonna give up? Like, did I ever feel like giving up? No, because that I kind of just put on the uniform and said, this is what I'm doing, and just left myself no other option. But at the same time, every morning I wake up saying, what the heck am I doing? Some mornings are amazing, and some mornings are like, what's going to happen? Like, how am I going to figure out this next thing, this next struggle? How am I going to get past it? And so, yes and no. Like, no, not ever, but every single day. I don't know how that works out, but that's how it is.
Reminds me of Frozen 2. Do the next right thing, yeah?
Yep. Do the next best thing. Do the next right thing. Yep.
So what advice would you give someone that's deciding on taking that leap of faith like you did?
Oh, geez. 2 years ago, I would have just said, go, do it. Like, we have time. We have time to fail. We have all the opportunities to make it go right, I guess. But you asked me today, and my answer is, do what makes you happy. Like, I don't know you. I don't know your situation. So me telling you to go and do it might not be the right thing. Like, you might be the guy or the person that should stay at your job, and hustle after your job. Like, that might be best for you in your situation. So I don't know. Like, if what I have to say is, if you want it, you can get it. If you want it and you sacrifice everything you have to get it, no doubt that you'll get it. When? I don't know. I don't even know when I'm going to get it. You know, like, I don't know. I don't know what the next thing is for me, but I just know that this is what I'm doing. And every day I'm going to get up, and every day I'm going to put out the next fire, and every day I'm going to try to be better than yesterday. So,
yeah.
Yep.
I like that because that could be applied to not only business, you know, or like starting a business, taking that leap of faith, but it could be applied to anything in life.
Yeah, for real. Just know yourself, figure out what you want, not what your parents want, not what grandpa wants. Shoot, if grandpa got what he wanted because that's all we did was make grandpa happy, we'd all be, I don't know, we'd all be unhappy with a lot of debt. But make yourself happy, figure out what you want.
Right. Now that you've started C4, looking back, if you could have started sooner, would you? And if it was a yes, then why didn't you?
No. I think everything happens for a reason. I think that if I had started any sooner, what I think I would have done sooner, not started, but started asking questions. I wish I figured myself out sooner. You know, I wish that I was asking myself these questions about myself. What actually makes you happy? What do you really want? Not what you hear people say, not the glorious hustle, you know, not all of these things that you think you want. What do you really want? Because today I'm totally different. I mean, everything I want today is based around family and happiness and wanting my kids to experience, you know, like do things and have experiences. And so what I wish that I got started on myself a lot earlier as far as timing and C4 and all of that. Yeah, I think how it happened is how it should have happened. I don't ever want to go back and change anything, because I honestly think that led to this and this will lead to that. And so every little thing happens for a reason. I honestly believe that. So no physically, but yes, introspectively, if that's a word. I don't know.
Which goes back to the questions of identity, you know, in the beginning, growing up and, you know, trying to figure yourself out. So what business advice would you give someone about the fears of making mistakes? Have you made any mistakes business-wise?
Yeah.
And
right off the bat.
What advice would you give other business owners? Or
learn fast. Like, figure it out. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect at all, you know. And just learn fast. Make your mistakes and don't make them again, you know. Try to figure out figure out who you are and what you want, and then once you have that, then you figure out how to make that work for what you want to be or what you want to get.
You have a story, or do you have anything that comes to mind of
failures?
Bad business? Yeah,
of
bad
failures?
business.
Shoot, every day. So early on, 2013, probably winter of 2013, still super new. Clothing brand wasn't even a real thing yet. I think we had our first booth at a concert, Say Love concert, in Salt Lake, and we went there, loved it, made $600, and that was amazing at the time, right? And we had another opportunity, Vegas Sevens. The Sevens tournament was coming up, and I reached out to someone who was throwing a concert, and they said, you can have a booth here. You just need to pay $200. You need to wire it over, this and that. And so without thinking, I jumped on it because I was still high off of that $600, right, that we just had, because it was legit in January, and Sevens is usually in February. So I was still like super excited about having made $600 at an event. So I jumped in and said, yeah, sure. I sent the money. They had this and that person as the headliner of that concert. Anyways, long story short, went down to Vegas, packed the car, put all the shirts in the trunk, drove through a storm. It was in a car that shouldn't have made it through that storm. Just kept going. Get to Vegas, and the concert that I really had my eyes on wasn't her concert. The person that I was dealing with, it wasn't her concert. So she said, "Oh, that's not my concert. My concert is the next night." And so everything that I planned on, it didn't happen, right? I mean, it wasn't ideal to what I wanted. I was expecting this bigger concert, and her concert was like a smaller thing on the side. Pretty much wasted $200 for the deposit of that thing, plus everything else like gas and hotel. We got to Circus. I'm not calling it junk, but we stay in Marriott's now, you know what I'm saying? With the family benefits. But yeah, it was just all of that. It was a big L at the time, because still $200. I mean, even still today, I'm not saying it's not, but $200 at the time was everything. That was everything I had, you know? And to get there and kind of be rejected and just not have a place to sell my stuff. So legit, we would just put shirts in a backpack and we walked the strip. And I mean, what the percentage of running into one Polynesian that wants to buy the shirt that I have is not happening. But for me, that was the only other option, because my original plan didn't go as planned. So yeah, what I learned from that, just bounce back. Like, there's nothing really to learn from that except for trust. I mean, watch where you send your money blindly. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, and bounce back. We came back, we had a blast. It was Vegas for the first time in my adult life. So we turned that L into, it was still an L at the end of the day, but it was fun. You know, it was a fun
Lowercase L.
Yeah, lowercase, cursive L, a little loop there. So, yeah, it just bounced back. You're human, it happens, and just try to figure out the next best thing to do. So,
gotcha. Speaking of bouncing back and success, what does success look like to you?
Man,
or how do you define success?
Just like I said, a year ago, it would have been X amount of money in the bank, retired at whatever age, right? Retire at 40. Today, success to me is just make sure my family's happy and healthy. Make sure that freedom is also another version of success, to be able to do what you want, when you want, how you want, with who you want, kind of thing. So these are all like, what is the word? Intangible. They're kind of their goals. And so what is success? Is my family happy and healthy? Some days they are happy and healthy. So some days I am successful, and some days they're not happy and they're not healthy. And so on those days, I'm not successful. A year ago, it would have been success is there at the age of retirement, or like at that place. It's a destination that we have to get to. But today it's the journey. Like, some days I'm super successful. Some days I get up and do absolutely nothing, you know, and stay at home with the kids, and I can, you know, like some of these things I can do. But some days are just terrible, and some days I'm super unsuccessful, and some days I take a capital L, you know, an uppercase L. And you just wake up the next day, try to go to sleep, wake up, and try to make sure that you get a dub, you know?
So with the busy schedule that you have, what do you find yourself doing with the little extra time that you have, or with the time that you do have, if any?
Going on trips. And I say that. Recently we got a pass to... It's called the America the Beautiful Pass, $80. Bought the pass, and in October we went down to Moab. We went down to Moab to go to Arches National Park. Spent time with the kids, spent time with the family. We legit just went camping. We found a free camp space, BLM, right? Set up our tents, started the fire, like roasted the marshmallows and everything. And that's what we did with our time. And so what I like now, if we have any amount of time, whether it's a couple days or a week, that's what I try to do. I try to fill out my family's time up with trips, with memories, and it's not even like trips. Like it's not get on an airplane and go. We went up to Golden Spike National Monument up in past Ogden.
I'm sure there's a lot of stress that comes with, managing C4 designs or, your everyday, day-to-day things. How do you manage stress?
Time, family time.
It's vice versa, huh? Or
Relaxation, stress. One thing that I didn't know is that everyone has anxiety. Like I thought that was a makeup word. Growing up in a you rub dirt in it and man up. Like in that environment and in that kind of culture, like there's if you can't see it and if you're not physically hurt, you're not hurt. And so one thing that I realized recently is everyone has anxiety. There's this word, anxiety, right? And for most Tongans, it's going to be BS. There's no such thing as an anxiety. And same thing. I said the same exact thing. But recently I realized upon introspection, upon just trying to figure out myself, I realized that everyone has anxiety to a degree. Like some people's anxiety is debilitating. Like they can't move, like legit, they cannot move because of their anxiety. And for me, it's kind of it is debilitating, really. Like there's times when I'm just like, so many things going on, I don't want to do anything, so I'll just not do anything.
Do nothing.
Yeah, do nothing on that day. And so, forgot the real question, but I think that when stress comes, what do I do for stress? Gary Vee, super inspirational to me. I think a lot of things that he says resonates with me. And so one of the things he does, and I don't really do it, but I kind of, not to that degree, is he says whenever he's feeling a type of way, stressed or whatever, he thinks about someone super close to him dying. And then you put that into perspective, that this business doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, right. Okay, so someone's order didn't go out, or so someone is unhappy, or so whatever it may be, put that next to your mom dying. You put that next to whatever it may be. Like, you put that next to a real life situation, and your little thing means nothing all of a sudden. It doesn't matter. And so, do I do that? Sometimes, but not enough. I guess I'm not stressed because I really am living the dream. Like, saying that you have nightmares and amazing dreams all at the same time, And so in living this dream, there's good days and there's bad days. And I don't know. Like, I like what I've done with my life. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Am I a millionaire? Not even close. Am I a thousandaire? Not even that, but I'm happy with what I've structured my life to be. So stress, just figure out what really matters. And if that's not your stress, then you don't have.
Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't in when you put it next to something that actually matters. So.
Right. So nowadays I heard it repeated, many times that for you to find your passion and figure out a way to make money off of that. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on finding your passion, and any tips, for those who are
trying to find
search? Yeah.
Just going back to the H word, whatever makes you happy. Like, passion comes with it. This is something else that I learned doing football, obviously, in the community that we grew up in, around the hype around sports, especially football. I just thought I was going to be in the NFL. Everyone did. Like, that's our goal. I mean, everyone just thinks that they're going to be in the, like, and you work for it, obviously, but you take the numbers in and no one's making it to the NFL. There's a 55-man roster, like, just 32 teams or whatever it is. Yep. It's probability, and so what I wish I could have told myself then is look around, like besides football, what else makes you happy? And for me, now that I know, it's culture made me happy. And we grew up next to PCC. Like I should have been there, you know, but I kept telling myself that's not gonna be my first job. Lo and behold, besides yate with the uncles, like that was my first job. So be happy with, I guess, find happiness, find what makes you happy, find out who you are and what really makes you tick. And culture makes me tick. History, our cultural history fascinates me, and that's what drives C4 Designs is cultural history. Everything that I do, everything I make, it's a little different. It's not your typical Polynesian brand, because what I like to do is I like to incorporate history into what I do. And every little thing that I do has a meaning behind it. Every little thing that I do has some sort of historical connection. And so I love learning about history. The reason I love learning about our Polynesian history, especially the migration of Polynesians, of our cultures, of how we got from here to there, from there to there, like how we populated Polynesia. The reason I like that is because I feel like for me at least, once I learned about how we migrated and where we could have came from, and everything's speculation, but some things make sense to me. Because of what I learned and how I felt about what I learned, we're all the same. Like we are all the same. And so our little beefs within Polynesia, that shouldn't be happening. 50 years ago, like if we draw the line back to our grandparents, that makes us only Tongan, you know? But you go back even more, and now all of a sudden we're Fijian, you know, like we have Fijian in our blood, and we go back even more, and all of a sudden we're Samoan. Like if we can learn about these things, and for me, learning about these things helped me to drop the barriers that made me, for whatever reason, hate this culture or hate that person. Or once we learn about who we are and where we actually come from and that we're all the same, then we're a big family. There's a cultural thing on that about the word Tongan. In Tongan, can we go off on a tangent here? In Tongan, the word famili, that's a transliteration. And I listen to a lot of cultural podcasts, so this word I just learned, and so it comes from one of the podcasts. The word transliteration means taking a Palangi word, an English word, and making it Tongan. So, for example, family, right? Isite, Samoans, isite, I guess even Tongans, like everything we do, noate, saute. These are all transliterations where the actual north, south, east, west is hihifo, hahake, tokelao, and tonga down to the south, right? But these transliterations, famili, that comes with the concept of a family from a Palangi standpoint. Our Tongan word for it, which a lot of people don't really remember or know or use freely, is kainga, right? And so kainga is the communal family that it draws upon the bigger family for us. But when Palangis come in and tell us, that's not your family, this is your family, your mom, dad, brothers, and sisters, we don't have words for uncles and aunties, because that's what the Palangi version of a family is. It's your parents and then your uncles and aunties. We don't have those things. Everything in Tongan is tamai, like all of my dad's brothers, they're tamai. They're all my dads. All of those guys right there, they're all my dads. All of those aunties over there, they're not aunties. Those are your moms. And so this thought process of kainga versus famili, one comes from a westernized Palangi standpoint, the other comes from what we came from. So if we go back far enough to where we came from, we don't separate our families anymore from our, the immediate, I don't know what they call it, but the immediate family. Now we're looking into the communal family of, this is my family. Folaha is my family. Mataika, that's my family. The village is really raised our past and our grandparents and stuff. The village raised them, you know, and it's just along those lines of it. If we go back far enough, we remember that it's not just us, and if we can remember that, then we're not beefing, or we don't find fault with our cousins, because that's our brothers, those are our sisters, you know. And so if we open ourselves up and if we go back into history, our history is a beautiful thing. And so it helps us to realize that it takes a village to raise a child, and not me, here, like this is it, you know. And so it's beautiful to me to learn about our Polynesian history, because it makes sense. Like, for us, the way we are, the reasons we do the things we do, it's because we're Polynesian to the core, you know. Like, because back before 50 years, before 100, before these Balangis came and told us what they think we should do, we were
Christianity,
doing through Christianity, right?
Changing names, changing
all of that,
everything, culture,
all of that.
Yeah.
We were a kainga, we were a bigger whole, like we were a bigger kainga. You say family and it just doesn't fit into that. So I love learning about history because it helps me to understand why we do what we do, and that in actuality, the barriers that we create for ourselves, the walls that we put people in, the little groupings that we do. Oh, he's Samoan. Oh, he's Fijian. Oh, he's Hawaiian. Oh, they're Micronesian. That's another thing. We're going on and on here. In Hawaii, we trash on Micronesians. That was Polynesians 50 years ago. Give them a break. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm only saying this because I served and I spent time in Micronesia. So we're all the same. Like, all of our base words, all of our root words come from the same thing. In Marshallese, ni is new. Like, all of the base, ik is ika. Like, it's just, we're the same. How can we not be? You know, if you learn about those things, how can we not be related? And so the trashing going on in Hawaii, I understand. But if you think about it, Polynesians were the Micronesians to Palangis 50 years ago. So why would we put them through what we went through just because? There's a rant for another day.
It reminds me too of Hawaii. They always need someone to blame or someone to
Portuguese.
The Portuguese growing up was Portuguese.
But
you know,
what did they? I mean, and then you served in Brazil, and they speak Portuguese there, and some of the words are exactly the same.
Yeah, and a lot of the culture in Hawaii, you know, is taken from the Portuguese.
Exactly.
You know, like the word shishi. That's a Portuguese word, you know. So it's just interesting that everything is more related than we are separated.
We think,
you know?
and we like to separate things, and we get this from the colonizers. I mean, I'm going to throw that word there. We get that action from anyone trying to rule anybody else. In history, if you're trying to rule somebody, you make them feel alone. So what do? You start making them point at each other and start fighting amongst each other. And if you can do that, then you won. And so us playing this game of pointing fingers, and I get it, it's part of our culture. We do it all the time. Like, even as Tongans, it's just a joke, right? But everything has its roots. It comes from somewhere. So I think if we can at least get out of these periods of joking, then as a whole, we'll be able to uplift as a whole all of Oceania, instead of just Tongans from Mataika, from that street, you know. Like, then it's a bigger thing, and now it's a better situation for everyone.
Nice. So it's I guess safe to say that you found your passion.
Oh yeah. I love
culture.
I love learning. Like I said, I just spoke about it for the last 20 minutes. So I love learning about culture. It helps me identify who I am. It helps me make sense of the bigger picture and pull these pieces together. And with me learning these things, that's how that's what I do to incorporate. Like, that's how I start my design process. I find that I design more, and my designs mean more to other people if it comes from history. If I just learn something and it sparks an idea, and then I go and make it, you know. And I find that those pieces are more powerful to me and to other people because it means something other than just the cool design, other than just the shirt with ink on it. So that's me.
That reminds me of this past weekend. They had that summit.
Yep.
Or I think it was a summit, but
Yep.
Tanel was there, and she said that it's a privilege to be Polynesian. So
that's what I heard. That's what I heard. That's one of the punchlines that came out of that thing.
I feel like that's what could be said of all this. But so what continues to drive you and motivate you today to keep you going with the C4, with life, and what you got going?
Knowing what I don't know. And I guess
knowing that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So knowing what I don't know, which is everything, and then everything I do know doesn't mean anything if you don't apply it. So what drives me is knowing what the future could look like if I just acquired these things, this and that, a system, just acquiring things from the people that I interact with and putting them into play within myself and within the business and within however else I interact with people. I think what keeps me going is knowing what I don't know, trying to learn more, always trying to just be better than I was yesterday, never having arrived, And how do you do that? Always having arrived. That means you never arrived. I don't know. It's this thing. So because I'm always in success and out of success every single day, it makes me want to just find out what's tomorrow going to do? What's tomorrow going to do to help me out? What is the next step going to do for me or for my situation? Like, how is this going to affect? And having said that, sometimes it's a gamble. Like sometimes it's like, I don't know about this one, but here we go. We'll find out. And then just having said that, knowing that there's no such thing as failure if you're always learning. So you can take an L, capital, lowercase, or cursive. You can take it all, but with that same hand, you can write a dub. You can write your future. So taking it all in stride, trying to at least, and just knowing that you don't know anything, and that you know enough to take the next step. So
nice. So I guess the last question for you is, you mentioned, or you touched on it earlier, but with what you know now, what would you tell your younger self? Or what advice would you give your younger self?
Just be happy. Be happy. Football did make me happy, so I honestly think everything I did, led up to who I am today. But just be happy and figure out who you are. Like, figure out what you really like and what you really want, and not just what everybody else is doing. Because it's super easy to do what everyone else is doing where we're at, like where we grew up, because that was the popular thing to do. And I give props to anyone else who went out of their way to not do the popular thing, like to be the unpopular person. I give props, because that wasn't me. Like, I wasn't strong enough or brave enough or courageous enough to
do it out of high school.
To go out of my way to be different. Like I was definitely a product of Kahuku. Like, I knew I was going to play football, and I knew that in order to get to college, I had to get a scholarship, but from football. Looking back now, in college, I wish I was an academic scholarship. I legit wish I spent time to be an academic scholar, like to get paid to go to school. Because as an athlete, you're doing all of that stuff, and then you got to go and get your grades right. And I wanted to get my grades right. That's the thing. Like, in college, I wanted good grades. Like, I wanted to learn all these things. I was at the highest point that I got, 3.8, and there are 4.0 students. I'm not a 4.0. 3.8 is actually the best that I've ever done in school. So I just wish that I had done those things to just figure out who I am, so I could be happier. But today's a better day than tomorrow to start being happy.
Nice. So I like ending, these podcasts with some questions. You know, first thing comes to your mind, just go for it.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
What takes up too much of your time?
TikTok. TikTok and figuring out how to do it, but not doing anything about it. So TikTok, social media in general. But yeah,
What do you wish you knew more about?
everything. Specifically business. I wish, as far as like structures and just everything in business, we don't learn enough of it growing up. Like they don't teach us enough, and so we're here left on our own to figure this thing out. And the only way we can figure it out is whether we get hit by the IRS because of this and that, or you know someone who knows about it. Like we just have to put ourselves in the path of someone that knows something about it, because how we grew up in the community that we grew up, we know nothing.
I just talked to Jing maybe last week or a week ago, I don't know, not too long ago, and she's trying to apply for a business license, I think. And so that's one thing that she wish she knew more about, or like, applying,
we
or
always
trying to figure out,
these little things. Like, do we know how to hustle? Do we know how to work hard? Yeah, we do. Like, for the most part, we do, because we saw our parents doing it. Right. These are the things that they instilled in us. And I'll take it. I'll take hard work. I'll take humility. I'll take all of these things because that's what we were given. But if I could sprinkle in a little bit of business knowledge, I would take that too. But here we are, and it's it's our job to make sure that our kids don't have the same wishes in life that I wish somebody could tell me about business. That's why, that's in me doing this. I hope that in the future I can just set them up. Like, this is your business license. Like, everything you need is here. All you have to do is this,
figure
and this.
It out with your business,
So I'll take what I can get, but that's one thing I wish I had a little bit of knowledge in.
What inspires you?
Everything inspires me. So we went to Disneyland for Christmas with the kids and family, and there's a lot of things you can say about Disneyland. Some people hate it, some people love it, but for me, it was amazing to see all the different types of people there, all the different styles and fashions that they were wearing, like everything. So for me, everything. I could be walking into a hotel and I see some kind of pattern, I take a picture of it. So everything inspires me because I'm trying to learn about everything. So every little thing does something for me, because that's something so in Disneyland, I was looking at people's everything and I was taking pictures. Just like, I could do this with that. I could do this with that. Like, just taking inspiration from everywhere. So
nice. What's your favorite book?
Favorite book? My favorite book, I think I'll judge it by how many of this book I've given to people. And that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. How do you say it?
Yeah. Coelho.
Because he's Brazilian. He's Portuguese. Yeah. And so the reason that is my favorite book is because that led me to Rich Dad Poor Dad, which led me to everything. Think and Grow Rich, which led me to. That just started it off for me, like that little, because it's an easy read. If anyone hasn't read it, it's an easy read. The story is good. It's a good story, so you're not gonna get lost in like details. But everything about it, like with parable, it is a parable, and with parables, I could probably read it today, and it could mean something totally different for me, today than when I first read it, which is 2010. But that is my favorite book, only because of what it led me to look into and what to research and stuff. So
what is special about the place you grew up?
Community, the VillageMade, the spirit of VillageMade in that community.
Still lives there. Yeah. What have you only recently formed an opinion about?
Does this question stump everyone, or some people know?
There's 2 or 3 that usually I can come back if you want.
Yeah, come back. Kind of the culture thing. Happiness. That's what I recently formed an opinion on. Happiness is it's it should be the center. It should be all. It should be
What guides
goals.
you,
You know,
yeah.
like hashtag goals. It should be happiness, because if you can be happy today with nothing, imagine how happy you'll be when you don't have to worry about a plane ticket. You know, like when you don't have to fly standby. Like imagine how happy you'll be with everything if you're happy with nothing. So happiness is something that I recently formed an opinion on. The importance of happiness.
Nice. What's the luckiest thing that's happened to you?
Luck is what is it? What's the quote? When preparation meets opportunity. Is that what luck is? So the luckiest thing that happened to me is drawing on shirts growing up, like trying to be different, trying to do all of these things. And then the luckiest thing also happened to be trying to figure out who I was. My wife, marrying my wife. That's the answer right there.
What song will guarantee to make you dance?
Ooh. You know, any of those not old Tongan songs, but any of the techno Tongan, like Venga Boys, any of those old, like this is a church song, like church dance song.
Yeah.
Any of those, like just put it on and it'll be moving, you know. So
What are you most looking forward to in the next 10 years?
watching my kids grow up, hoping that I can help form them into happy little kids, happy older kids, 10, 14, so happy teenagers. Holy crap. Yeah. Hoping that I can, looking forward to helping shape happy teenagers.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no
culture.
presentation?
Yeah, culture, but in certain rooms, like if professor's sitting there, I could probably ask questions, you know, like that'll take up 2 or 3, 4 hours, but a presentation, probably culture and my obsession with it.
What hobby would you get into if time and money weren't an issue?
Hunting. I started dabbling in that, mostly because some of my friends used to do it, still do it, and first time I went out and hit the mountain and walked, like try to hike a mountain, that's when I had to check myself and remember that health is everything. So hunting led to a bunch of things, which it just healthy lifestyles is what I would say. So hunting I would get into even more.
When people come to you for help, what do they usually want help with?
Designs. Sully, I have an idea for a shirt, like this and the other. That's usually what it is immediately, like in the now. Other than that, yeah,
That's it.
That's it. That's the one.
What is something you think everyone should do at least once in their life?
Be reckless. As Lala says, do hood rat things with my friends.
WP, white people stuff.
White people. Reckless only in the sense of like sometimes you just can't think about things. Sometimes you just gotta go. You know, like sometimes the funnest or the best things happen when someone talks you into it and you just go, not knowing what to expect, and you're there, and all of a sudden you got to do what's going on, you know, like healthy peer pressure, I think, but just being reckless. I think every once in a while, just being reckless with whatever it is, because I think that's a reset. I think everyone needs a reset in life. So
Which of your scars has the best story behind it?
jeez, all of them. This one happened in Tonga. There's one on the back of my calf. Happened when I was riding a bike and the chain broke and my calf went straight into the thing, whatever, the spinning thing, the pedal thing. That one, because on my calf it has like 1, 2, 3, 4 dots, just like in a row, so you can see where it is. This one was in Tonga trying to make a kava cup in Vavalu. So we took some shells, threw it in the beach and left it there, and while I was trying to clean it out and stuff, I got this scar. So
what helps you live in the moment?
putting your phone down, I think. And having said that, there's nothing wrong with phones. But when Lake's asking me, like when my son's asking me to do stuff, or look at him, or Daddy, look at this. I'm up here, you know, like, and I totally miss a lot of it because my phone is more important at the time because of this important email I have to answer, or this important DM I have to get back like. I think if I just put my phone down and give myself boundaries as far as this is family time and this is this time, then I think that'll solve everything. But
if you could give back to your village, what would you do?
Geez, so dream big, talk small. It's one of those things where it's the mantra that I live, motto that C4 Designs lives by. And that's something that I've lived by. Dream big, talk small. So I don't want to really say it, but there's a lot of stuff happening in Kahuku that I wish we had control over, you know. And I'm protesting is like that's the start, like that to get our voices heard. But at the end of the day, it's money, right? Like, so they won't listen to anything else but money. So one of the goals to give back would be to just make the situation better. As far as exactly how, it's one of those things I won't say right now, and hopefully, well, in 50, 20, whatever, I can actually do it and then come back on this podcast and say, this is what I meant when I said this. But something just help the situation in Kahuku be a healthier living situation, because there's a lot of money, greed, and power trips going on over there.
Cool. Well, not too bad, huh? Your first podcast?
Not too bad.
Your maybe not your first, but this one.
This is my first one.